Okay, so I know you guys are thinking about what food shortages you're gonna see in 2023. Well, luckily for you, I have a new publication to go over with you that just recently came out. 8 grocery shortages you can expect to see in 2023. Many of you know we're gonna see a lot of things in 2023. We're gonna see food inflation. We're gonna see all kinds of hyperinflation, possible recession. But when it comes to being ready at home, you need to make sure you have enough food stocked up. You need to make sure that you've been prepping. So your next grocery haul, when it comes to prepping, these 8 items you might want to stock up on. Good information you might want to know coming right up. If you're brand new here, welcome to our awesome community where we do emergency preparedness, prepping tips, and how-to. So if that's your thing and you find value in that, be sure to hit that notification bell so you guys can stay up to date. Let's jump into this one. Okay, so like I said, 8 food shortages that were just released. I often go to this site for great articles. It's eatthis.com. So as you guys know, going to the grocery store these days is like preparing for battle. You don't know what you're stocking up for, whether it's food shortages or inflation, but you know you need to be stocking up. One thing is for certain, you get it now, especially if it stays on the shelf for quite a while, you're gonna pay a lower price. Number 1 on the list is beef. Wendy's ironic 1984 catchphrase was "Where's the beef?" could make a huge comeback this year when meat scarcity looms. In 2022, ranchers and farmers faced all kinds of difficulties due to record-breaking weather events. Texas, the country's largest beef producer, was plagued by an extreme drought for the majority of the summer months. Many ranchers were forced to sell off a sizable amount of their cattle earlier than expected, which caused slaughter levels to escalate into the second half of the year. And with supplies depleting before they can restock up, high chance those beef selections are gonna diminish at the grocery store. So whether it comes to putting them in the freezer, because you can freeze stuff for up to a year. I've frozen stuff up to 2 years. It kind of gets in the way of the taste a little bit, but it's still edible. Or maybe you have a freeze dryer or a pressure canner. These are other ways to preserve your meat long term. Number 2 on this list, and it's not on my list, is champagne. Rumors of possible champagne shortage have been bubbling up all over the news, and it's not a new concern. The demand for the beverage began to skyrocket in 2021. An unforeseen turn of events and a strong drop in sales during the peak of the pandemic in 2020. And a lot of that has to do with the drought and all the issues California had. So I could go further into that, but I'm not going to. If you're a champagne drinker, you might want to stock up on some champagne, because if nothing else, it probably will get more expensive with the inflation in 2023. Number 3 is lettuce. If eating more salads was one of your New Year's resolutions, you might be in trouble. Either that or now you have to perfect excuse to cheat on your diet. First hit restaurants, but has now trickled down to the grocery store shelves, driving up costs and stifling stock. And I've heard that a lot of crops were affected by the adverse weather this year. The lettuce hoos were sparked by the unforgiving disease called impatiens, INSV, some type of virus. So now our food's getting viruses. Wonderful. This is carried in insects and often is the result of death with the plant. Again, this is something that came across California like crazy. A major producer with nearly 50% of the country's lettuce production and destroyed over 80% of the area's crops for 2022. So if you guys are wondering if that's gonna affect 2023, you betcha it is. Number 4 is canned drinks and foods. At the beginning of the pandemic, a combination of people panic buying and drinking more canned beverages at home resulted in an unexpected spike in demand for aluminum. And we've been over this before. Aluminum is a big issue. So what you're gonna see is some places aren't gonna be able to keep up with demand, and when the demand rises, so does inflation. So things are gonna get more expensive. So I guess kudos to those who stocked up their pantry ahead of time. As for beer, make it a double. Carbon dioxide, CO2, the ingredient credited with giving your brew its bubbles, has faced its own shortage in the past. Due to various supply chain issues, small craft breweries have dealt with the brunt of the problem. And I warned you guys earlier in the year on that one, and that's definitely on the list if you're a beer drinker. Number 5, sunflower oil and palm oil. Yet again, another one I warned you early in the year. Cooking oil like sunflower and palm is something most of us use every single day, making this shortage especially concerning. Similar to the story of fertilizer and bread and grain-based products in 2022. The war in Ukraine plays a huge part in the dwindling supply of this kitchen necessity. If you guys didn't know, Ukraine is one of the major producers of sunflower seed and oil, having produced nearly 50% of the world's globally traded supply in 2020. Indonesia, the world's largest producer of palm oil, enacted a policy starting in January 1st, which set stricter limits on palm oil exports in order to maintain domestic supplies. So the problem obviously that we'll see with that is they're not going to ship it out to other countries. They're going to keep it for themselves. Yet again, another thing that I told you guys to stock up in 2022. Number 6 is bread and other wheat products. Of course, with the war persisting, shortages of bread and many other wheat products, including flour, cereal, and baked goods, aren't going anywhere either. Together, Ukraine and Russia typically produce around 30% of the world's wheat exports. And of course, the big invasion now severely hindered production and depleted supplies which were already tight. As a result, you've seen the prices of bread products shoot up 15.7% and a lot more in some cases. In fact, flour mixes are up almost 25%. Number 7 is corn. Midwestern corn crops endured a brutal 2022 season full of sweltering temperatures, intense storms, and harmful pests. And we're talking about Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Nebraska, and South Dakota. And this means they had dismal yields. Nothing came in. So that's something I want to warn you guys. If you happen to see corn hit the shelves early in 2023, before crazy SHTF 2023 starts, be sure to pick it up. Be sure to preserve it however you do, because later in the year of 2023, it's going to diminish. And number 8 is oranges and orange juice. And I bet you guys are already guessing. California. Nope, Florida. Well, probably both. When Hurricane Ian barreled through Florida back in September, many oranges and trees fell victim of the storm. As a result, the Sunshine State orange production is expected to drop 51% for 2022 and 2023. That means this year is going to be the lowest output from Florida since 1936 and 1937. So with that, anything oranges, expect shortages, food shortages. So that means when it comes to food shortages, oranges are going to be up there eventually. And guys, when I'm telling you about these food shortages, it doesn't only affect the empty shelves portion of it. We're talking about inflation. So if they are available, the prices are going to go through the roof because of the supply and demand issue. So I thought you guys would appreciate these 8 items to expect with food shortages or major inflation in 2023. If you can, please share the video, spread awareness among the communities, and when it comes to your prepping haul, make sure you're prepping up on these items before they are either not there, empty shelves, or the inflation just has you not buying it. Keep prepping, keep learning, keep doing, guys. We'll see you on the next one.